Lecture 2, day 2. We reviewed array a little bit. We learned something new. It's called hash. And if we get there, that's already pretty amazing. So let's give it a try. So I can name this maybe array continued in hash. Fantastic. So with array so far, I'm going to use an example. It's our to-do list. We all know what a to-do list is, right? So yesterday I said, first we need to learn numbers, and then second we need to learn string, and then you see the things getting a little long. So feel free to add some space to make things look beautiful. So learn, what's the third one? Variables. Learn maybe if and, right? Learn methods. Wow. Learn arrays. Well, that's what we have so far. And how do we print them out? So we have learned that if you print, you do put an array, you get everything print one by one line at a time. There is a shorter syntax here. So if you do p, and then it will just print you the exact representation of an array. Okay. Unlike puts, p returns the object itself. So after you do p to do, it still returns to do. So that's why you see the green color here. It's no longer nil. So you can ignore it, but it's just useful to know there. Okay. So that's why you see two to-dos over here. The reason is that if you do puts to do, puts will return nil. Okay. If you do p to do, p will still print and it returns to do itself. Okay. All right. So what we're learning is okay. Let's revisit our each. So here's our item, and then you can do something similar to puts to do. It's exactly the same thing. Okay? Do you guys know why we have this green color? Again. Ian, can you guess? It's because after you finish line 12, it finishes the each statement. And by now, you can guess, after each here, there's a do block here, right? After this here, it's almost like there is some invisible brackets here, and then you have the dot. You can do something else. You can even do dot length, because this is returning an what? I only add this as a grouping, right? That's not how it works. The do thing is slightly special. But to do dot each returns the array itself. So that's quite useful to know. That's why it looks surprising, right? Inside each block, do and end here, it doesn't care what you return. See the void thing there? It's like nil. To do puts return nil, right? It doesn't care, so it just finish running that and it's done. So if you do 1, 2, 3 here, what happens? It's just a number, and you're not doing anything to the screen. So when you run this, line 10, 11, 12, they work. Good Ruby, but it doesn't do anything because it's just a 1, 2, 3. You don't do anything. If you say puts 1, 2, 3, then you actually changing the screen. You're doing something. So that's why you see 1, 2, 3, 6 times. But that's not useful, so let's do puts item. Okay? Right, so that's the first thing we review about the each, and we're like, I want to be clearer. So maybe I call item, colon, yeah, I will just make it very clear, right? I have that. And then you see item, 1, 2, 3. That looks a little bit better. And sometimes you print, like remember the how we represent it to do? It looks like this. Looks good? And then if you finish something, you will be like, hey, I finished it. Looks nice. So maybe we can have a new to do and the completed to do, and you can print them like this. However, for now, I want us to know the 1, 2, 3 indexing. This is the 1, 2, 3 thing. Okay, so to do that, I need index. You can call it I, but normally a really short variable name like this is not very, it's just not clear what it is. But sometimes you may prefer it. Okay, I do not want this item to be I. That would be crazy, right? It's hard to read. So I want this to be exactly the word like item, task. Something is very English friendly. So instead of 1, I call it I plus 1. And now, what happens, guys? Help. Help. Undefined method plus for nil, line 11. I think there's an error there. It should be fine. Let's try again. To do each with index. All right. No problem. If you do each like this, I will always be nil. That's why I complain. You cannot, because only the first argument has a value. But if I do each with index, I have an extra variable here. So that's what we've learned so far, right? Each with index. Are we clear on that? And then you're like, well, I do this a lot of times really, but I want to write it in a shorter way. So instead of do n, turn it to that. Okay? Instead of n, turn it to that. But do not do this. Multiple line with the curly braces. You're not writing C code. You're writing Ruby. And you only want to do the multiple. You want to do the curly braces if this can be on one line. Are we clear on the convention? Convention here means what we agree on. Just I don't want to see the curly braces over multiple lines. Okay? So same deal, right? If I run this again, I will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, right? And then maybe I want to make it very clear, so I separate it out, like I multiply by 50, just to okay, that's too long. 10 is enough. All right, looks nice. This is the first way to print it with 3 lines of code. This is the second way to print it with 1 line of code. We good? Now I'm going to introduce something. It's called. Okay, before we go to map, I'm going to teach us map. So .each, what does it return? The same array. Yeah? And we have a lot of methods that return the same array. So we have .reverse, returns the same array, right? Wait, no, it's not. A different array. Returns a different array. Remember the reverse? So I'm going to do that right here. To do .reverse, let's look at the difference, okay? I reverse before I do each. Let's run it. So now we see array go to the top. So the way that this reverse is that number 6 becomes number 1, number 5 becomes number 2. So we're all clear on this one?
What if you do it afterwards? After each index? Do it like that?
Do what?
Reverse or to do that.
Each with index will come with this block. So you cannot put something in between. Each with index, if you do it by itself, it returns something else. It's not usable for your purpose right now. Okay? It will just return something called enumerator. If you see it, you're like, what the hell is that? Don't worry about it for now, okay? Okay, so that's interesting to see. For example, here I just say reverse, and I say again, I'm just making my output nice, right? So it's easy for me to follow. Next, I know the reverse, and maybe I can try, next I can try sort. Okay? You see that I'm using the same syntax again. So I'm very quickly, I want to show you, maybe I call this as a separator. I create a method called print separator, right? And then maybe there's some word in here, and then I put the whole thing inside, okay? And instead of the word reverse here, I do word. So now from now on, I say print separator reverse, print separator sort. Okay, so I'll slow down a little bit there for you guys to see. I just reuse my logic so that next time if I want to style this differently, so I want to change this to star because we think it looks better, right? So this is called reusing your code. Instead of copying your code to different places, you start writing methods so you can call them again with different input, of course. Okay? So that's pretty neat. I think I like the equal better, and I like maybe adding a space between the word. So maybe like that. Is that okay? So then it looks like this, a little nicer. All right, so that's sort. Let's do a little more. So with sort here, reverse. So let's do sort here. You see, don't be afraid when you see undefined method. Just look at just Ian. This is your question, right? What happens when I call something in the chain and I don't know where it happens? In line 23, and you just trace back the chain after the first period, after the second period here. You're trying to guess where your code is wrong. Okay? Sometimes Ruby is even super clear to you. You see this 23 thing, right? Sometimes it even tell you like, I think if you do like this, it even tells you, in some cases, the column, not just the row number. Let me try. I think in this case, it doesn't know that. But sometimes it just say like, column 15, then you count like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, until 15. Okay, so back to sort. Let's look at the output. It's sorting the strings, okay? And it's sorting the things without the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's sorting this array, and it's sorting the string alphabetically. That's the default. It means it will compare, okay, everyone has learned at the front. And then I'll just compare, hey, A should be before I should be before M. So you see alphabetically there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We all clear about the sort? Here's something that is a bit scary. It's called shuffle. What if you want to just change things inside an array and every time it's a different random order? And now this is for the first time you write something that even though it's the same method, no argument. So Lloyd, this is what we talked about earlier. Even though it's the same method, right? No different argument. But each time you run it, it still could be different. You see array if numbers, right? I'm running it again. Array if number, maybe you should always shuffle the same thing. Variables. So it does come up differently each time. So you just learn a new method called shuffling, and that can be very nice if you are writing an app to play games, and then you say each student, throw a die, right? And then my die will be like 1, your die will be 2, or like we shuffle so we can choose the first student to submit homework, right? Something like that. So that's shuffle. Any question about shuffle? The more things to come, and the next one I want to teach is called map. Okay, so there's a shuffle thing here. All right, let's look at map. Map is like this. If I have an array, I want to return another array, but maybe based on the previous array. So what if I have this array and I want to return this array? Can someone guess what this is doing? Squaring it, right? Ian, how do you square a number? Square. Do you know what square is? So if you have a square like this, right? That's called a square, right? I'm such an artist. Yeah. Oh my God. Look at that. Yeah. So let's say this is like 5, and then this is another 5. So inside here, this is 25. Right? 25. That's the area. That's square. That's why we call it square. So down. This is 5. All right. So we want to map from the first number into the square of it. So we want to map from 1, 2, 3 to 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3. Okay. So it's quite similar to maybe we haven't done anything like that yet. Basically, we have sort, we have reverse. So let's try. If I have this array as A, okay. If A, I want to map, and the syntax is very similar. I'm going to use the long format for now. Okay, the long format. What do you think I should put inside? What do you think I should put? Lewis.
So item.
Item. And then?
We want to square the item. Square the elements.
Alright, square. Like that. Now, look, I can still do each. Look at each, okay? So this is, I'm going to do a put here. So print separator and a map here. And then here I'm going to print A first. So put, right? This is just print A first. This is, okay, maybe put before. This is A. I'm just going to show you exactly what A is there. And then maybe I do each. So let's say I print each item. Okay. So let's look at that. So this is your A, and then if I do each, this is what I can get. I can print one item at a time. But I want to get an array back. I don't want to print to screen. Okay. If you are using what you already knew, if I have an array B, okay, in each, instead of putting to screen, I can say, hey, put this item times item into B. And now I can say B is B. Okay, let's take a look at that. Things are making sense, right? This is how you write code in some of the, in languages like C stuff. It's normal because we think that it's simple enough. Everyone should learn how to write this. However, nowadays, writing code like this, it's error prone and it should be better. We can write, code that reads more like English. And the way we do it is that we say C here is a.map. Instead of each, it's map, okay? And then in here we say, in each block, we return, in each do and block, we return items times item. So I'm going to print C here for you guys to see. What do you think C will look like? Exactly like B. They are, different objects, but they look exactly alike because this is how I do the maps, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you can, still do all these puts, like, item is, for example, if you really want to debug, and then, item times item is, if you like to print it out for you to see. Ruby doesn't care. It only cares about the last statement in your map. You see, and this is like you noting to yourself, explaining to the user what's going on. So this is very similar to each. You can do the same thing with each. Can you guys see the difference? 40 to 43 and line 50 to 58. They are quite similar. The difference is that in .each, we are making changes to the outside variable B. In line 45 to 48, line 47, we are just returning inside the block, do n, we're returning the item times item
So it's
value.
shorter.
So it's shorter. And normally, if you write like this, it can still be confusing. So don't write complicated map block. When you use map, keep this as simple as possible. It means try to do it one line. It's that simple. item times item. Now, isn't that beautiful, right? This is map, and you just learned map. One line, 45, is the same as 4 lines, 39 to 43. Any questions about the map? Like, do you feel like you understand why we may want to use map? So, I'll give you a few examples very quickly. Let's test a new variable called d, all right? And in this case, maybe I map from A again, item, maybe in this case, item multiplied by 10. So, Sine, what is D? If I print this out, come again?
100,000.
It's an array. What is A? 1, 2, 3, right? A is 1, 2, 3, right? A dot map, and in each item we multiply
Each item, I see.
multiply by 10. So what do you think D is? So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to map. Yeah. So each item 1 multiply by
1 multiplied by 1.
multiply by
Oh, 10, sorry.
second 2 multiply by the third one 3 multiply by, and it's an array, right? So that is mapping. Okay. So what is the value of D? This is your A.
Oh, I see.
Okay, this is A. So what is D?
D. 60.
This one is D. Okay. D is you mapping A.
Okay.
So help me write down the values of D.
60.
60. Why is it 60?
10, 20, 30.
Because we're not adding them together. We're just mapping. So we're mapping 1 to 1 times 10. So what is the first element of D?
10.
Okay, we're mapping 2 to 2 times 10. What is the
20.
20? And we're mapping 3 to 3.
30.
What is the fourth element?
90.
It doesn't exist. Great job. So if I run this now and I say puts D, you see that is 10, 20, 30. So sometimes we learn by trying to do the hard work ourselves and then print it out to the screen.
Can you do an example where you see it's even or odd? That's good.
And if you do even or odd, what do you want to map to?
Just wouldn't it say like true or false?
Yeah, so you can just say true or false. So an array of number 1, 2, 3, you will map to what?
I know it's creating an array. I feel like that one really helped me understand what that's the difference.
Are you talking about select?
Okay, you're right.
No problem. It's fine. For example, if you map true or false for whether the number is even. So 1, 2, 3 will map to false, true, false. Yeah, we haven't even talked about Boolean true or false yet.
Machine that we had true array. For example, I want the first element of the first array plus the first element of the second.
Yeah,
We should use a map for each.
good job. That's a bit more advanced. You can just use each with index and then you can add them.
So in that case,
Yeah, if you map them, yes, you can. Can you ask that question later today? It may come as an exercise. It's actually it's a very interesting exercise. Okay, someone just asked another question. All right, so that's numbers. You mapping numbers often. Look, let's go back to our to-do, right? You see this to-do here? What can we do mapping about it? What do you think? I'm going to map to-do to something like, let's look at this to-do, right? What about capitalizing? Yeah? So, something like cap to do is to do dot map. Who can help me write to do dot map here? Luis? In here you have item. What do you do inside map? Item dot capitalize. Anything else? That's it. Yeah, so if to do the first item is learn numbers, right? Blah blah blah. So Sine, this is the first item in to do, okay? If you have cap to do is another array. What is the first item in cap to do? So line 60, I am mapping and taking each item, I capitalize them. So I do learn numbers. If I capitalize learn number, look, capitalize, I get this. So what's the first element in cap to do? It will be this learn number string, right? So from here, now if the second one is learn, what's that? Strings. So Sine, can you help me again? The second element will be?
Strings.
Excellent. And what's the difference? This capitalized thing. So, for example, if it's learn strings here, you know that capitalized still return you the string, right?
Yeah.
So now you're formalizing this, and I have cap to do, and because it's the last line, I just run, so you do see it over here. Right? If you want to be extra sure, let's print it, right? P cap to do. And you see it over here. Okay?
There has to be an easier way to list out all the items within that items, right?
Yeah, so this is the easiest way if you just do P, and there are two ways. If you do puts cap to do, then you get this.
Okay.
If you, however, put it in a string, like, cap to do, and then you do this, it's very nice. It will give you the everything in one line, the representation in one line. Okay? So I want now, Ian, let's try this, right? If I want to do learn numbers, and I want to convert this into square bracket learn numbers. Okay? How do you take this string and turn it into this string? Yeah, the first one. If you have this string and then you have, how do we turn that into that? Yeah, so you do this plus the string, right? Excellent. So let's try if my to do dot map, okay, inside in each item, I will add this square thing for us to put the check on, and then plus item. Okay, this is my display to do display. What type is to do display? Ian? What is the type? If Ruby is if to do is an array, what is to do display? Is it an array or a number or a string? To do display is a string. So what is to do? Is array, right? To do display will be an array. Okay? So if you do dot map, it will return an array, and that's why to do display is an array. Okay? So let's try again with to do display. The first element in to do is learn numbers. Okay? Then let me put it back here. But here this is to do, but now we have to do display. Whoops. Okay, so let's try to guess what to do display is. Okay, so I'm mapping this learn numbers. Okay, by adding this square bracket in front of it. So what do you think is the first element of this array to do display? Square bracket like this. And then what's next, Ian? Can you guess? L. Learn. Numbers. Alright, what's the second? But do you have this? Yeah, so all of them will have this in front. Learn strings. Because we are doing this. So let's print it out. To do display will be to do display here. And let's look. To do display. That doesn't look very nice, isn't it? But this is to display them, so maybe I can just put to do display like that. Hey, it's not too bad. Yeah?
I like it.
Awesome. So you see, map is really cool. Right? Okay. What Ian asked us now, when you have two arrays and what you Ian wanna do something like this. 1, 2, 3, and maybe this is 10. You wanna add something together, right? So maybe here was like 100, 200, 300, and he want to do something like this, and then you want to have 101, 102, 303. Is it that something you want? See, I'm so good at guessing what you want. Okay, so it looks like map, but it's not, because each time you're adding a different guy, right? How do you do this with each? Let's try it together. If I call this guy the first array, if I call this guy the second array, and then this will be the total array, okay? So let's try it. I'm going to comment it out because that's not correct code. So first is 1, 2, and 3, okay? Second is 100 and 200 and 300. Let's say third, the total thing initially is empty, right? And then I say first dot each what? Let's say dot each for now, okay? Do item. So I have 1 or 2 or 3 in here, but I don't know what I want to use. So maybe I need each with index, right? Ian, can you try? Index here, okay? So then I have this new item to be this item, which is 1 or 2 or 3 plus, now that's a bit crazy, huh? Oh wow, you guys got this. Does it seem to make sense? So I am taking, if you want to print it out, you can do a put here, and then you can say put item is, second index is. But the idea here is that I go to each, right? When I get 1, the index is 0. Then second 0 is 100, so I get 1 plus 100. So new item, the first time will be 100, like that. The second time it will be 2 plus 100. The third time will be 3 plus 300, right? But because I'm using each, Ruby forgets about it, right? Remember? So this new item, I need to put it in total. And that is my total. You guys see this one? Right? So inside first, you can do more than just talking about first, right? You can actually tell second to use your index. This is quite useful. This is like two tournaments, right? In any tournament, you get the. This is not a real tournament, but you have Group A and Group B, and the best team in Group A may want to play with best team in Group B. Best team in Group B, second team in Group A plays with the second team in Group B. Third team in Group A plays with third team in Group B, something like that.
So what happens if one group have 3 and
And then sometimes you have nil in here. So that's the case of bad data, and you have to deal with that. You can use the if statement. Good. You keep thinking of when things go wrong, and that's good, right? But what if the second is like an empty array? That's good. It means your data is not correct, and your code, needs to be smarter. But when we're learning, we focus on the logic. We don't focus on bad data just yet.
He's solving the problem right now.
Good. So let's use map. Yeah? Imagine if you have map with index, then you don't need this thing anymore, right? Remember how we did the I Ching? These lines? And then how you can get rid of all the B / here because you return item star item. So with map, this may feel a little fast for some of you, and don't worry, you can maybe go back to this part in the video and check. I'm getting rid of this. New item, I deleted. Total, I don't need total anymore. Right? Line 84 now is what I return. Okay? So I'm mapping from first to this. So it's very similar to the each thing, right? So that's map. And total now is first mapping that. Okay? And I'm continuing to delete my code until it's one line. So again, if it's too fast, you can check back. But you can see now everything becomes one line. So this answers your question, right, Ian? Are we nodding your head? But then when I run this, it doesn't work. And you're gonna laugh at me. Let's try it. And he'll say, dude, there's no map with index. What are you talking about? Uh-oh. That's a nice sound. It's not sound effect. So the trick is that there is no map with index, but it's there. Just this map.index. Map.with index. You can do each.with index as well. So the idea is that they're chaining .each and .with index, and because we use it all the time, so they do each _with index as well. For map, they don't give us that, but let's not give up. You can do this. It's less useful because it feels a little harder to read, right? So be careful. Line 80. If you see it the first time, you're like, what is it? Like mapping? But when you map, you need to know the index number. You see how it's a little bit more complicated? So Ruby doesn't make it too easy for you. You see this all the time. You map and you take an item and you do something to the item. You don't care about the data outside. Line 80, you have to care about this second indexing. It feels a bit difficult to understand. What if the second array, like you say, is empty? Then your code is trying to map and then it's wrong. And you're like, how can map be wrong? You just take one thing and map to another, right? It's kind of weird. So, but this is how you do it, and it's still very useful to understand. And I just solved your question with the map, not with index, and now if I run it, right? Taking the two things together, okay? Okay, I'm going to, I think that's enough for you to start doing the lab exercise. The first, actually it's not yet. I need to teach you hash first. So I am going to very quickly give you one more trick. This one will be new to, maybe, hopefully it's new to our TAs as well. What if I can do first and second, I group them together. Look at the map here, right? 1, 2, 3, 100, 200, 300. What if I combine them together first? So it'll look like this. 1 and 100. 2 and 200. And 3 and 300. Alright? And then from there, and then in each one of them, I will add 1 plus 100, 2 plus 200, 3 plus 200. So that's my flow. This is first, this is second, this is something in between. I group them together. And then the third one, I just add what's inside. And this is how my brain works after I code in like Ruby. I don't like defining a total variable somewhere else. So I'll do this. First, dot zip, second. So when I zip them together, you get the third one like this. And then I will now map the third one to the fourth one. In this here, I have item, right? But now I know item has the first and the second element. So I say item.first plus item.second. And that is the same as line 80. Where's my second? Oh no, whoa. 89. Oh, item.second, item.last. It's not item second. There's no first or second. So you see, I get exactly the same thing. And maybe to make sure it looks right, I call P on here, right? P. So it's the same thing. You see P, the last line here?
It is just have item last and item first, and have
3 values, then you just
have a first and last.
it's up to you, because in this case it cannot be 3 values, right? If you don't like to write first and last, you can just write like this. Yeah, I like how you think. You always try to find something wrong. All right, let's take a 2-minute break, and then I'll start teaching hash. We need the hash thing to, to do the lab work. Don't worry if you don't understand this zip thing. Okay, just some extra stuff.